Live from deep in an underground bunker in East Tennessee, this is America's premier mortgage field services expert, Paul Williams.
So now we'll look into how it works as an admin. So we're back here. So in admin, you see you can do more things. There's some options here, some menus, and you can edit the menu. Click edit menu, and you can change what's on the menu. So by clicking here, change the information. And if I go to clients, well, it's the same thing. I can see clients. But now when I go on a specific client, there's some new buttons here. And choose edit this tracker and edit fields. So if I click edit fields, we see here all the fields for clients. So right now we have company name, username, properties, and phone number. Let's say we want to put in their address. So I'll type here street address, and it's a text. And let's say now we want city. It's text. So that's really easy to do. And in terms of field types, quite a few. So it could be auto increment. That's basically so just for each entry to have a unique ID. Category is basically the categories that are throughout the system. So something can have multiple checkboxes. So and this checkbox is just one checkbox, yes, no. Country selector, date and time, drop down, email, upload files. The list goes on and on and on. And these are sort of the ones that are set up right now, but there's actually more in the system. And if I want to have them, here I go to the admin panel, and I can actually turn them on or off. So there's a bunch that are not currently set, so we can turn them on. And we can also make some custom field types. So this will be important in this project. There's some things, if we have fields that are very specific, we just make one which is just for us. So basically this is how I can add new fields. Now, how do I have an input form, or how do I have reports? So if we take, for example, the properties, so we see here, or the work orders is better. So the work orders, we see, hey, okay, we have a report here. So how does that work? Well, actually, I'll go ahead and edit the page. So this is a wiki page, but in fact, we have a wiki syntax, which is basically like a mini programming language in which you can ask for stuff. So in this case, what we're saying is, give us a filter, tracker filter of these fields. So you have to know what the ID is in the field. By default, put a list and go in, for example, in tracker number 3, and then show me these fields. So you can see, answer a bunch of questions, and it generates this. So what's really awesome is then you can modify it. So if I click here, I go back in edit mode, and I have this helper, which lets me do all this. So I could say if I wanted a new field, I would just add it here. And as you can see, I'm just going to scroll down here. There are tons of options. And this is the result of like a decade of improvements on the trackers, where people, when they need stuff, they add it as a feature, and over time these features mature. So there's tons of them. And then even that was just not even the advanced section. So advanced, I get even more. And you can see there's some links with maps and stuff. So for example, if we want to do one, what would we want here? Let's say we would change something. Show item count, for example. I want to show item count. I click yes, submit, and from now on, it's going to tell me I have 99 here. So we can do a lot of stuff with all these built-in things, and of course, if there's something it doesn't do, we can improve it, or we can build our own processes. And what else would be interesting? So maybe some more stuff on the trackers. If I go to my trackers, so right now we have like 4 tables or databases. So I showed you how we can edit the fields, but then we also have very advanced permission system here, where we can determine which group is allowed to do what. So you say, okay, well, on this tracker, registered users can post comments, but only the coordinator can edit the comments. So regular users can add new information to filling out a form, but only the coordinator can do other things. So it's a very fine-grained permission system. And then if each tracker itself has a lot of features. So if I go to the vendor tracker and I go edit this tracker, here I can say, okay, well, what are the features I want in this tracker? Do I want people to use ratings? Well, actually, this is the old way. There's another way now where people can rate stuff. I leave people allowed to comment, and people have add attachments. And then, how do we want this listed? Do we want the status? Do we want the last modification date, the creation date? All these are options. Pop-ups. So when I'm in a list mode, do I want pop-ups? I'll show that later if I don't forget. And then there's the stuff with the status. So by default, we have like a new item. Is it open or pending or closed? And then what happens if things get modified? Notifications. You can also get emails. So you can say, well, send me an email with something changes. And again, a bunch of stuff with permissions. So you can say that if this, I can modify my items, but not the stuff with the others. And the category system I was mentioning before. So maybe one thing, so tons of features. What else could be interesting here? Oh yeah, so events. So this is a bit more advanced, but basically we could build events in the system. So if a tracker item goes from open to pending or something like that, and basically you could do stuff like, hey, if a tracker item has gone 1 week, it has not been modified in a week or has things like that, send an alert. So this is basically why we use this. Let's say it's a bug tracker. You could say, well, you know what? Nobody has touched this item in like a week or 2 weeks or a month. And basically we're going to close this item. So if nobody says it's still valid, we're going to automatically close it in a week. So we can build these alerts. Of course, this is with the GUI. If we need something more advanced, we can always write some custom code for that. So I think that pretty much covers it. Maybe real quickly, if I go in the admin panel here, you're going to see this is our main dashboard for the administrator with everything. So all the stuff that's turned off is grayed out. And the way it works is if I want some new features, I just come here and basically I say, okay, do I want surveys? Do I want whatever invoicing system? And you just add all the features you need. And then typically in each feature, well, then there's another panel for configuration. So if I go to the trackers, well, what are the permission, the admin? So let's go to the admin section of trackers. And what I was showing you before, here to list of all the tracker fields. But there's also some general things with, for example, synchronized remote trackers. So there's something in there that you can have 2 Tiki sites with trackers, and these have some synchronization. This was actually built for an offline case where some people had laptops with information with Tiki running. They need to synchronize the data when they get back online. So tons of features, and I guess we'll be going through them as the demo progresses. Thanks. Here's a quick demo of the prototype report management. So we have clients, properties, work orders, and vendors. So the clients, basically it's just a client list, and then from the client list you can see how many properties, which properties they have. If you click on it, well, it takes you to the property. But you could also have gone there by clicking on list of properties and then selecting. So here we go. And if I'm on a property and I have the proper permissions, well, I can edit the information. In this case, it's map on the location. And I could add some work orders to it, and we know to which client has this property. Now, if we want to list of work orders, basically, in this case, because we're going to have quite a few, and to show it off, I prepared a little filter here at the top. So basically, I could say, okay, show me everything related to window. And it's going to give me, there's a broken window here. Or I could say, well, show me everything that's on status received by clients. From clients. And then, whatever, you can just filter any which way you want. And then once you have what you need, you go, for example, Sentry, text2, and I have some information. Now, let's say I want to add a new a new entry, come here to view items, insert, make another UI for that. And then I'll add some information. Here I'm going to show you something. So let's say we're going to call our thing test 3. Right? So let's say this is what it is, this is the date, this is the status, the information we want. We could upload some related files, or we could add a video, but we'll do that later. So we go to save. So now I have my entry test 3. Okay, so far so good. Now I could add comments to it. So we have a little threaded comment entry here. So you could have different permissions of who's allowed to comment or who's not. So someone could say I'm allowed to view but not change the information, but I am allowed to comment to say well, there's something wrong with the entry. Okay, so we have our little discussion here. Now I go back to the entry. One of the interesting things is the entry may change. So according to the specs, we saw that they could change up to 10 times, on average 10 times. So what happens if my summary changes? Okay, so summary changes. That's okay. Save because I have permission. Now, if I'm wondering, okay, well, what happened here? Well, I can click this little button to history, and in history, it's going to say, well, at 1 o'clock. Of course, this is because it's today's when we show on the time. Last week, date. Which user changed the field from what value to what value? And this whole page is going to be full of those. So it gives you really, really precise listing of what was done, what was involved, and what was the status of the data. And then we have our list of vendors, and the vendors, you can see, well, how many work orders they have and how many are open. So that's pretty cool. Now, one thing that wasn't sort of an immediate need, but I think is pretty cool, and it's really easy to do, it comes for free basically, just need to configure, is the question of videos. So let's say we go back to our test 3, and let's say the end user wants to add something of a report with respect to videos. So they could upload images here, but they could add media. So in this case, you can either upload videos, and it's going to convert them and make them playable through a browser, or you can use the webcam, which is pretty cool because then the person can explain specifically what happened. They could give a video report of their visit, and then anybody who has permissions can watch that. In this case, I'm going to start the recording and say, okay, well, this is a test for this the video, and stop. I can start the recording and say, okay, well, this is a test for this the video. And so I'm assuming I'm happy with that. Next, in this case, you have to put information, but we could get rid of this interface because we already it's very specific. But by default, this is how it works. Processing, and basically now we have our media. So I can save my entry, and now when someone goes to view it, here the video is. And then they can start the recording and say, okay, well, this is a test for this the video. And so here you go. So that's pretty much from the point of view of the end user. In the next video, I'll do from the point of view of an admin. Right? Thanks.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. As usual, you may reach me on Google Plus at D. Paul Williams, LinkedIn, Paul Williams and the LinkedIn group Property Preservation Consortium. Twitter, Foreclosurepedia. We stream all our podcasts on iTunes, Foreclosurepedia. We have our screencasts over on YouTube, the Foreclosurepedia channel, and always at foreclosurepedia.org. We'd like to give a special shout out to Amazon.com, whom provides our S3 podcast and video storage, and Cloudflare for hosting Foreclosurepedia in 24 different geo-positioned servers, pro bono as well. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to give me a shout out, COO at foreclosurepedia.org.